Hey friendo, Steve here. Welcome back to Wrestle Juice. It's time for hot takes. Been a little while since we've had a pay-per-view, so we're going to go ahead and dive right into this with your hot takes. Number one, let's talk about Bloodline. Of course, Solo Sikoa got the pin on Roman Reigns. Sami Zayn comes out to make the save, and what happens? Sami Zayn, on accident, nails Roman Reigns with a big haluva kick as Roman Reigns was trying to take out Solo. Little meet in the middle action there. Suit Dumpling says Solo pinning Roman was the right call for where the story is going right now. Look, for everybody out there, in my hot takes, in my Ask Wrestle Juice, in my good idea, bad ideas, y'all saying the bad bloodline needed to get a win. Man, oh man, I thought for sure Jimmy was going to be eating this pin, but no, the tribal chief himself, Roman Reigns, or at least the former tribal chief, he ain't got the Ulufala anymore, ate the pin, and absolutely it was the right call. I thought once again, now that the OG bloodline is back up and running, they're back involved in the story. So much to like with that, but I agree with this 1,000%. Solo pinning Roman was the right call. I really like where they're going with Solo these days as a character. My one wish is that we get more backstage segments with the bad bloodline like we used to get with the OG bloodline. But yeah, I agree with this, man. Solo needed this so bad because they're probably going to be eating a lot of losses in the months to come. Of course, including War Games coming up. You know it's going to be Sami, Jimmy, Jay, and Roman versus these four guys. And so yeah, Solo had to get this win on Roman. I'm just surprised that they did it. Speaking of Roman, Victor here says, I think Roman showing up on SummerSlam and immediately vanishing for a month killed a lot of the momentum. There was no reason for him not to show up in Berlin other than we needed Gunther to main event in his continent and Cody to main event in his city. Yeah, okay. I wonder about the Roman thing. Larson on the Going in Raw podcast today, where you can get the lowdown on my full podcast length review. It's up there right now. It's speculated that maybe, just maybe, being that Jimmy was kind of vital, is vital to this story, being the guy mending fences between Roman and Jay, maybe he wasn't cleared yet, like legitimately, and that's why they had to take that extra story beat. They wanted Roman for SummerSlam, wrote him off. Didn't do a whole lot because they weren't ready to go because Jimmy's a main player in this story. So maybe that's the case. If this was creatively the decision, yeah, it's kind of a weird one. Jamie K9780 says Jay versus Roman is the end-all plot point of the Bloodline saga. When all is said and done, Jay should be the one to retire Roman and finally be bestowed, not bestowed, the Ulufala. I don't disagree with this at all. I think eventually that's where you got to go. I even offered up today on the podcast the idea that next year's Crown Jewel championship match for the men should be Roman versus Jay. He sort of set up kind of a friendly exhibition given that they're going to be on good terms then. And then I don't know what you do. I don't know how you get to the point where Jay versus Roman works. Jay is incredibly over. He is so popular, and I still think, and I said this a couple days ago, I think that Jay can get even more popular than he is right now. I'm not going to say that he's going to get to Stone Cold levels of popular, but my God, listen to the pop that goes down when he shows up. People love Jey Uso. And to see where the story began with Roman basically forcing Jay under thumb, to see that be how it plays out in the end, how can it go any other way? How can it go any other way than Jey Uso as the tribal chief, as the ultimate tribal chief in the end? He's got to beat Roman. Maybe he beats The Rock. I don't know if Dwayne would be cool with that, but Jey Uso be the guy. Why not? Give me a reason why not. The guy is more than just a catchphrase. I know that's the one thing his detractors say. I thoroughly disagree with that, though. Absolutely, man. I agree with this 1,000%. Ooh, here's a hot take from John Hosey, who says Gunther's World Heavyweight Championship reign has lessened the prestige of the title and him. Gunther is a 7-star match, but his flat character and bad booking have done nothing for him. Do you guys agree with this? I don't think I do. I think this is a hot take even for me, John. I will say this. Pre-World Heavyweight Champion Gunther, they didn't feel the need for him to be overtly disrespectful. He was disrespectful to a degree, basically saying nobody's as good as me, the ring general, the mat is sacred, and you're ruining the mat. At this point, when he started calling Damian Priest street trash, as funny as that was, when he started saying, Cody Rhodes, you're a secondary champion, when he tried to bring some heat to Randy Orton and say, you're successful, but just not the most successful, more as successful as you should be, it got a little bit weird. The guy is, I mean, I think maybe you could explain the evolution of his character as becoming arrogant now that he came back, you know, after losing in his fluke loss at WrestleMania, coming back to King of the Ring, and then winning the World Heavyweight Championship, even though he won it in a way that's not befitting of the ring general by somebody else interfering. I'm not huge. It's funny because on one hand, I'm pretty entertained by the guy, but it also kind of goes against who he is as a character or how he's always been as a character. I have to say, though, his matches still are really, really good. And in the end, that's kind of the thing that matters. He got caught today against Cody, which a lot of you are not happy with. But I'm not going to say that his reign has lessened the prestige of the title. I think he's still well known and well regarded as the match guy of WWE. And I think even today with the Riyadh crowd, you see the crowd in Saudi Arabia. Yeah, they were loving Cody, but there was also a big contingent of Gunther fans there as well. I think as much as they want him to be like, hey, you're going to be a bad guy, I think the bottom line is people just appreciate the guy too much to really want to boo him. They understand this guy brings it every single time, and you always get some really good stuff with him. They've bought into him as a character, and I think ultimately that sort of matters the most. But that is definitely a hot take there from John Hosey. F. Slvids says, no more countering the choke into a surprise roll-up to keep the dominant heel looking strong. It sucked for a long time, and it made Gunther look dumb. This was the number one take I've seen across a lot of different platforms, including Larson's as well. I can't say that I necessarily disagree with this either. If somebody is known as the ring general and they get caught with something so silly and small and ridiculous as, hey, I'm choking the shit out of this guy. Oh, God, he just rolled up and I can't kick out. The finish left a lot of people not happy with how this went down. At the same time, I kind of felt, and I thought that this would be a Goldberg thing, not Cody winning clean. Certainly Cody eking out a victory over Gunther, sneaking out a victory I didn't have on my card. But that's the way they went, and I guess it makes sense. Cody is still the face of the company. And when this was announced, or when it was announced the Bloodline was opening the show, I kind of had a feeling. I was like, they're not going to close this with Gunther winning. And sure enough, Cody ended up winning. On the other hand, Patrick Cheeseman says we need more endings like Cody versus Gunther. More. That right there, that's the hot take. Because nobody is saying that. And I think Patrick's just trying to get on the thumbnail here, man. It ain't going to work, Patrick. Or will it? The Wallinator says with how he's been booked in his 2.5 years on main roster, Gunther has no right taking protected losses, especially not from Cody. Wow. Y'all know Cody's the face of the company, right? He's the guy that beat Roman Reigns, right? You know that, right? All right, let's talk about the Crown Jewel Championship, that ugly title, which, by the way, my guy in Pakistan has created a replica. I am not going to buy this thing, but it's on eBay if you guys want to look it up. It's not a particularly impressive replica. I'm not going to lie. It's not. It's a really hard title to replicate, I would imagine. And this sort of shows that. Anyways, Meta Shadow here says, while it was easy to criticize the Crown Jewel Championship title idea, I actually like the idea after seeing it all play out. I like the Super Bowl style ring to commemorate the annual event of champion versus champion. In the end, it was fine. I feel like if they do it again, they need to take more of an approach like the Nia Jax build and probably the Cody Gunther match. The Nia Liv match was like 8 minutes long, and half of that match was just overbooked nonsense with Tiffany trying to cash in, not cashing in, trying to cash in again, Raquel showing up, Dom showing up. But the build itself was good. I thought you had like a large cast of characters all involved in that build. I like that. Cody and Gunther, on the other hand, the build sucked, but the match was really good. The build itself was just Gunther saying, you're the secondary champion, and Cody saying, no, I'm not. And that was it. They had like 4 different promo segments all together, including like video packages. And it was like, why? What? Like, that's not, you need some more. Something's got to be there. You got to do something else with that. So, yeah, I'm not against it. Look, next year when it's announced, if they do another Crown Jewel championship, which I hope they do, yeah, it should be interesting. And then you can predict the next year, like what that match is going to be. But yeah, amen. Next year, Roman versus Jay, that should be booked. Speaking of Nia and Liv, Tacoma streetcar disaster. Ooh, says the Liv Dom Raquel stuff has learning tree level heat for me. I am so done with it. They need to fix the women's singles division badly. So this is a hot take right here. I disagree with this thoroughly. I've actually so come around to Liv and Dom. I still feel like Judgment Day in total, really, especially because Finn is just sort of useless these days, and he's supposed to be like their big deal. The Liv and Dom stuff to me is hilarious. I liked what they did on SmackDown with Tiffy saying, but I want Dom to come with that title when I cash in, and Dom's like interested, then notices Liv looks at him and is like, no, I'm not going to do it. I like that stuff. I think it's good. Liv Morgan has actually grown on me quite a bit. As you guys probably know, I haven't been like the biggest booster of Liv. I get what they're doing with her. I understand it. And I've actually started to appreciate it quite a bit. She's adding some little quirks to her character that I like. Raquel is a total blank slate. I feel like if they allow Raquel to start embracing some of the absurdity, some of the goofiness of the Liv Dom stuff, I think she'll be really entertaining. But they got to start doing that instead of just making her sort of generic bodyguard person. Nuvo Ninja says, day 600 and something of Chelsea Green deserving to be the inaugural Women's United States Champion. Yeah, I like Chelsea Green, man. I think if nothing else, hey, have her win the speed title. That'd be kind of cool. I get behind that. AJ Otani says Tiffy not cashing in was a huge waste. I do like that she was starting to show some resistance to Nia on SmackDown as well. That they're waiting for this was not the right time. On top of that, the thing that didn't make sense about this is what's she cashing in on? Like, there's a match going on that's a non-title match. That's a title that you're not really going to have. You're going to have a ring. That's not the world championship. That's not like the actual title. So what was she cashing in on? To my knowledge, you can't interrupt a match and create a new match. You can say, I don't think that's happened in Money in the Bank history. I know there's been a lot of Money in the Bank, and maybe you guys can correct me in the comments, but I don't think there's been a match that has been interrupted. And it hasn't been a situation where the person cashing in simply added themselves to the match. That's happened. Seth Rollins did that at WrestleMania and WrestleMania 31. That has happened. You can add yourself to a match. But if there's a match going on that isn't for the title, you go down to cash in. What is the situation there? Does the match end and then like a new one begins and it's for the title? Does a side match happen for the title and the other match continues? I want to say something similar like that happened at some point, but let me know in the comments below because I'm not going to Google it right now. Let's talk about Seth Rollins, Bronson Reed. Tyreek says, as much as I wanted Bronson to win, Seth winning is the right call. It shows that Bronson is physically ready for the main event, but doesn't yet have the in-ring IQ to deal with the main eventer. Holy shit, what a great way to put it. Tyreek, well done. You get the A for the day. That was good. Yeah, I love that Bronson is a guy who doesn't care. Like, wins and losses in a silly wrestling match do not matter to Bronson Reed. Destruction does. And Seth hit him with like altogether 4 curb stomps. Comes away, and Bronson gets up like basically seconds after the 3 count. And he's like, I want more. I like that about him. But yes, he does not have the in-ring IQ yet to deal with a true main eventer. That's what he's lacking. If he gets that, he's going to be a real danger, and that should be his story. These next 2 I love. Rest Unknown 345 says 10 out of 10 pay-per-view. And then Cam here says, this show felt like a Vince-run pre-pandemic show and is the worst premium live event since Vince has been gone, hands down. Wow. Cam did not like this show. I appreciate that. But Rest Unknown did like the show. They gave it a perfect score. Who's right? I don't know. It feels like it's somewhere kind of in the middle. I was entertained most of the show. The only match that I thought was kind of a stinker was the LA Knight match. And NPR here says, after interfering in Game 7 and retaining the U.S. title at Crown Jewel, LA Knight is rapidly approaching Super Cena territory. Yeah, it kind of feels like Cena things to do. Like, I don't know about the interfering in the Game 7 stuff, but like, I like the entire point of the match was like two guys just really wanted to fight. And they didn't want LA Knight around them. Even though he was the guy who ruined their match in the first place, like shouldn't have been Andrade and Carmelo being like, hey, fuck this guy, and then taking him out, but like really taking him out, not just getting him out of the way. In any event, I wasn't a huge fan of that match. I felt it was kind of clunky and awkward. Carmelo and Andrade, every time they get together, it's magic. And when LA Knight wasn't in this match, it was really, really good. I thought the finish was excellent as well. Otherwise, too much of a clash of styles for my taste. Brother Jorge says, I found myself dozing off during the show. I don't know why I just gave you a voice. I found myself dozing off during the show. I don't know where that's supposed to be from. Eastside says, once Bianca and Jade split up and feud, we need a match series with Bianca and Io. Those two have incredible chemistry, and I'd love to see them cook. No title necessary either. Dude, talk about chemistry in the ring. Io and Bianca have it. Just a ton of it. An absolute ton of it. I love to see Bianca and Io in the ring together. It's such a joyful thing. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest with you, Eastside. I don't even want to see Bianca and Jade feud. I'm fine if they go on their own solo paths and they go find like, success away from each other. But I don't want them to feud. I think that'd be cool if they just be like remained like best friends. I think that'd be awesome. Because I think they're terrific together. They got such great chemistry together. And oh my God, those outfits look like $1 million tonight. That was a really fun match. Just a couple little bits here and there. But man, that was a really fun match. Mr. Van Cleef says, bro, what was up with those camels? They were like golden camels carrying those stupid Crown Jewel championships. Yeah, that was weird, man. David says, best match for the women's tag title so far. Oof. Ever? Well, I don't know about that. This title's been around for a little while now. I have to go back in time. But in terms of during Bianca and Jade's reign, I guess the case could be made. Eastside also says Lash Legend's going to be a star. She needs maybe another year of seasoning in NXT and she'll be good to go. Ah, man. I've been saying this since day one, man. She's got all the tools it takes, everything she has. I think she's terrific. And to see her and Jade battle it out a little bit, her and Bianca, man, there was a lot of cool shit going on in that match. The Watson says Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton was the best part of the show, even though it wasn't a match. I thought it was fine what they did with that. I thought that was cool. Didn't actually have a match. No winner to that match. And yeah, it was fine. It felt more like a Raw, like a SmackDown segment to me. Honestly, it felt more like a Raw segment to me, but they're not on Raw, they're on SmackDown. But yeah, it felt like a TV segment to me. So I don't know. I wouldn't have considered it the best part of the show. That's a hot take. Default Forger says Sami hit Roman on purpose. He was only there for Jay. He still has PTSD with Roman. I wouldn't blame him either. That guy's got a lot of bones to pick with Roman Reigns, man. He should say as much on SmackDown. Be like, hey, you know what? I kind of meant to do it, you bastard. I see Roman's face. Tony the Pokemon guy says calling up Jakar and Lash the same way Mello was called up is the smoothest way to bring in NXT talent. So I agree, it's the smoothest way. It's also not the most exciting way because the nerds like us were like, where are they? Aren't they on main roster? Are they in NXT? Where are they on? Right? I like the draft. I like the call-up. I like the post-WrestleMania call-up. I like that. Just a shocking, oh my God, they're here now. I like that. That's fun. But this is really, the way they do it is really smooth storyline. Hey, meet us in somebody on main roster shows me on NXT. Hey, meet me on main roster. Okay, cool, I'll do that. King's Pokemon Empire says, was I the only one who saw every little kid ask Cody to give them his title? Yeah, he should have given them all Crossroads. God, that'd been horrible. We can't do that, Cody. Okay, now you guys are just trying to make the thumbnail with your hot takes. Cal Clark says current Chris Jericho matches are better than Bloodline. I'll say that Ring of Honor title match was not. That was the ladder match is actually pretty good. But I could do without Chris Jericho. Go Birds XTL says I'm getting sick of these long, boring Bloodline tag matches. The ending is always cool, but they don't need to go 20 minutes every time. Hey, guess what? At least this one didn't go 35 because I think oftentimes Bloodline matches go like well over 30 minutes. So at least it didn't do that this time. I actually thought this one went by pretty smoothly, to be honest with you. And it's always worth it for the post-match shit. And this one definitely was. Anyways, hey, listen, man, do me a favor, guys. Hit that thumbs up. Hit that subscribe and the little notify bell so you always know when I put up hot take threads. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.